What up, people? It's your boy Chig, and you're through to Chig Flicks, where I review some of the movies I would see, some of our favorite movies um, that get released around the world. Been a bit slack on the channel recently, but we're going to start picking things up. For those wondering, yes, I still am going to do my 10 best movies of last year. I will still get round to that. Apologies, and I will still get round to my 10 most anticipated movies of this year. As late as it is, I'm still going to drop it because I made a promise I'll do it. I suppose one of those movies was this one, Bad Boys for Life. Now, for those of you who don't know, who are new subscribers, let me explain something about myself. Bad Boys was one of my very favorite films. Actually, I'll go a step further. It was one of the very first action films I ever saw. The explosions and everything, and the dialogue, and just how fun it looked like Will and Martin were having on set. And I'll go an even step further than that. Perhaps this film sings to me in a different way to a normal person, because I saw a film where I saw two leads who looked like me. Essentially, two black guys who made it possible. And I actually had, believe it or not, a very small time in my life where I wanted to be an actor. So seeing something like that made me think, wow, it's possible. Because it was very rare. You couldn't tell me of two black leads in an action movie in Hollywood. It was unheard of. Because at the time, the people running Hollywood, particularly in the action scene, who were black, were Wesley Snipes, Eddie Murphy. That was pretty much it. And maybe Martin Lawrence had just started to breach that area. And then obviously, subsequently, we got a lot more black action stars. So to me, this film was not only an achievement, but it sung to me in a different type of way. And I know the film has a lot of problems. It has a lot of problems. For example, the bad guy is a crap bad guy. As far as bad guys go, he's the most one-dimensional, atypical, foreign bad guy that you'll ever see, right? I know that. I absolutely know that. I'm not an idiot. I know that if you're not a Michael Bay fan, you are not going to like the first two Bad Boys. Because Michael Bay, that's early days Michael Bay. That's Michael Bay just discovering who he is. But in spite of that, I loved that film, especially that first film. The second film went in a slightly different direction. And again, I know it was a film that had its problems. I personally thought the film was a little bit too long, maybe 20 minutes too long, 25 minutes too long. I think they tried to overcomplicate it in terms of the plot. They tried to put, whereas I think the first plot, and it's just me, I'm slaughtering my own favorite film here, which just shows you I'm not biased here. If the first plot was a bit weak in terms of a plot, they tried to overcompensate here, right? They tried to tell 2 or 3 different types of stories in the second film. But damn you, if you watch that Reggie scene and you tell me you still hate that film, we can't be friends. We cannot be friends. And it still had, and one thing that both of the first 2 movies had, in spite of the fact that they were 8 years apart, 9 years apart, was this amazing chemistry between Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. And that was an amazing thing to capture, given the fact that chemistry is a hard thing to find in any Hollywood film. But there was such a long period of time between the 2 sequels, between the first sequel and the first film. You thought, was it possible? And actually, they grew. And one of the things I realized, actually, when I took stock of this whole series was you've never really seen a trilogy like this, where you've almost grown up with the characters. In the first film, you saw 2 petulant officers in their 20s looking to just blow shit up, make an impact, and send a message to the criminals. In the second film, you saw two seasoned vets. They'd been doing this a while. They ran Miami. They knew it. And they were going to damn sure let you know that you're on their turf if you're coming to start beef. Moving on to this film, it was interesting because you saw an even bigger gap. There was a 17-year gap between the second film and the third film. So now you're not just questioning their chemistry if it's still there, but actually, can these lot still do an action movie? Which some might point to the fact that Will's just recently done Gemini. I'm sorry, have you seen Gemini? So there's a lot of people that were worried about this movie, including me. I needed it, but I wanted this movie years ago. So I was a little bit, I ain't gonna lie, I was strained. It was squeaky bum time. I was nervous ahead of this movie coming out. And in my honest opinion, coming out of the movie yesterday, F the world. I normally give my grade at the end of the movie. This is an A- movie. I thought it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I'll be honest, I was going to do this yesterday, apart from the fact that my throat was killing me. I needed to come to terms with something. Actually, this was better than the first film. It was. My part of me was thinking to myself, well, maybe the third film was missing a Michael Bay. And actually it didn't. It benefited from it. It's like it graduated from that Michael Bayism. And it became its own film, its own identity. It still respected everything Michael Bay did. Yes, there is the classic twisty camera, one shot bit where the two boys in the middle, just as things start to escalate, and there's that same one shot still that Michael Bay loves to do. They did that in this movie. But I was so satisfied leaving that movie theater yesterday, leaving that movie screen yesterday. I even said it to my boy that I'm so happy because I left there thinking to myself, it was brilliant. In reality, because I understand that there's some bias from me in this film, this is probably, if you don't have the same feelings about Bad Boy as I did, you'll probably give this a B+. But actually, I was so proud of their achievement. I gave this an A-. For me, I thought it was brilliant. I don't think the plot was a work of genius or anything. It was a very simple plot, very simple twist. They built it up very nicely. And that was the main plot, mind you. They told a couple of little side stories. I thought the acting was on point. I thought the chemistry between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence was actually the best it's ever been. Like, considering there was a 17-year gap, it's the best it's ever been. Supposedly, Martin Lawrence came out of retirement just for this movie, because if you notice, Martin Lawrence ain't been in movies. And he came out of retirement just for this. I thought the action was on point. The acting was on point. I'm struggling. The only reason I give it a- was because obviously they're 50 years old people. Will Smith is 51, I think. And Martin Lawrence is 54. So there's certain scenes where they obviously had to do some stunts, particularly Will, and they tried to use some CGI. And I ain't gonna lie, they obviously put Will's face on a stuntman, and that was a bit like, oh, I wish you hadn't done that. You know, just film that in a cleverer way. But other than that, I mean, to me, I was so impressed. Honestly, I'm telling you right now, I'm seeing this film at least 3 more times. I already told my other half, we're seeing this movie. But you've already seen it, so we're seeing this movie. But I warn you, I would have seen it 2 more times prior to us seeing it. I've already told all my boys that didn't go yesterday, I'm making you all see this movie. To me, I think even if you are a cynic of Bad Boys, just watch the first 2 just to refresh your mind, then go into this movie, and I promise you won't regret it. I think it's such a fun movie. Given the 2 people that took over from Michael Bay, I was a bit skeptical about them. Actually, I thought they did a really good job. They did a really good job. It was well written. And so, considering this was supposed to be the last one, the movie is doing so well that they're considering a number 4. And actually, without revealing too much, because this is obviously a non-spoiler review, they've done it in such a way where they could take it in a different. They've opened the door for a number 4, or they could potentially do a TV show. They could do so many other things. I know Bad Boys technically already has a TV show, which is LA Confidential. That's based on Martin Lawrence's sister, who was in number 2. But they could do another TV show. They could do so much with this. So I don't know about you. I'm definitely going to see this again. I might see it. My mate's told me that he might see it on Wednesday. I'm already set to go see it with him on Wednesday. But yeah, for me, highly recommended. A-. I can't sing the praises of this movie enough. Do please go and see it. Go and see it. Excellent movie. And I hope it does well enough where it gives them a problem, where they have to do a number 4, because before I was hoping where it would be good enough where I would say, right, I hope they've ended it on a decent note. I hope no more is made. Actually, provided they don't take another 17 years, I wouldn't mind seeing one more. So yeah, for me, I'm well happy. I'll be honest, I'm so happy that the movie was good. So yeah, A- movie. Go watch it. It is excellent. And actually, in a lot of scenes, I think Martin Lawrence steals the show. It has to be said. So go watch it. I'll be back later on tomorrow to do the 1917 review. Quick spoiler for that. I've seen a couple of decent January movies, guys. I'm starting to dispel the January movie myth. So, yeah, I will go and I'll review that tomorrow. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I'm out of here. Look after yourself. Take care. Peace.